Hello and welcome to my channel. No valid charge. The final battle of Nnamdi Kanu and the Nigerian court. That is the final battle approaching. Yes. According to the courts, they call it the final chance. The court says, defend yourself or we close your case. That's what they said. But Nnamdi Kanu says, I have no case to answer. Let me go. That is where we are today. So this is not just about any other court session. This is the turning point in a story that has lasted for years. The story of one man versus the Nigerian system. Nnamdi Kanu versus the Nigerian system. And the question before us is simple but powerful. Can you judge a man under a law that no longer exists? That is what Nnamdi Kanu and his legal team are arguing. This law at which you are trying me, on which you are trying me, no longer exists. So can you judge a man under a law that no longer exists? Welcome to IGBO AREA TV. I'm your host, Azuka, bringing you a deep analysis of Nnamdi Kanu's law court battle, the legal, the political, and moral meanings behind the words no valid charge. The Federal High Court in Abuja has given Nnamdi Kanu a final opportunity to open his defense in the terrorism case against him. The judge, Justice James Omotocho, warned that if Kanu refuses again, the court will close his defense and move on to judgment. After defense, the judge will rule. But Kanu's legal team is standing firm. His lawyer says there is no living charge against him. The law they use has been repealed, cancelled, squashed. It is a legal corpse, legal ozu, a dead law. That is what they are trying to say. To put it plainly, Kanu's side believes the entire case is standing on nothing. They are saying you cannot ask a man to defend himself against a ghost. Meanwhile, the federal government's lawyer, Adeboyega Awomolo, insists that Kanu is simply wasting time and refusing to cooperate with due process. That again takes us to, what is this case really about? Let's break it down. Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, is facing charges related to terrorism and secession activities. But Kanu says the charges were filed under a repealed or invalid law, the old Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act, that has been squashed. So the question before the court is not only did he commit the offense, it is also, does this law still exist to punish him? So if the lawyers are right, then the case collapses automatically. Because in law, you cannot convict a person under a dead law, under Ozumulawu law. And that is why Nnamdi Kanu keeps saying, I have no case to answer. Let me go. Happen on camp one. But from the court's view, this argument has been used again and again to delay the trial. The judge believes the government has presented enough evidence to require Kanu to at least respond. So, Justice Omotosho says, we have been patient enough. Either you defend yourself or you forfeit your right to defense. By himself, you don't forfeit that right to defense. You don't want to defend, they tell you clearly. It is a hard position because on one hand, the court must ensure fairness. But on the other hand, it must also prevent endless delay. If I so let's face the truth, actually. Let's face the truth. This case is no longer about law alone. That is the truth. It has become a political and emotional battlefield. For many in the Southeast, Nnamdi Kanu is not a criminal. for many in the Southeast, he's not a criminal. He's a symbol of resistance. Even though some are saying a lot of people have died, but to them, he's not a criminal. He speaks for the people who feel neglected, forgotten, and unprotected. That is how many Southeasterners see it. But for the federal government, he is not a hero. They see him as someone who challenged the state and must face the consequences. So now, both sides are locked in pride. The state says, you must answer in court. Now, Kanu says, you have no lawful case to try me. In the middle of all this stands the Nigerian judiciary, walking a tightrope between law and politics. Now, here is our reaction before we round up. Let me speak plainly. As an observer, let me speak from an observer angle. I see a nation that is confused between power and justice. Yes. If the law under which Kanu was charged is indeed repealed, then continuing the trial is injustice. But if the law is still valid, then Kanu should open his defense and clear his name before the people. So the judge should at least say whether this law has been repealed or is still in place. Yes, I ask, you see, why has this case dragged for so long? Why is a man in detention for years without a clear conclusion? For almost 5 years. Now, when justice takes too long, it is beginning to look like punishment, not process. Yes. And when a government fights its own citizens without dialogue, it turns courtrooms into battlegrounds. The truth is, this case is no longer just about one man. I have always said this. It's a reflection of Nigeria's deeper sickness, mistrust, ethnic tension, and the failure of the system to heal itself. As our elders say, when a wound refuses to close, refuses to heal, it is not just the knife that caused it. It is the death inside it. Okay, Nano? And the death here, the dirty here is politics, pride, and injustice. Now, here are possible outcomes. Yeah, here are possible outcomes. What will come after? 1. Kanu opens his defense, possibly, I don't know, and the court continues normally, leading to a final verdict. 2. Kanu refuses again, and the court closes his case, and a move that could cause serious outrage and new appeals. Then 3, a political negotiation, where the government quietly looks for a peace deal outside the courtroom, and that will be the best. Whichever happens, one truth remains: Nigeria cannot keep a man in prison forever without clear and lawful judgment. You can't continue to keep him. As Nigerians, we must demand both justice and fairness. No one should be above the law, but the law itself must stand on the truth, not any kwe law. Whether you support Kanu or not, we must all agree on one thing: a fair trial is the foundation of peace. Let the court prove it is still the last hope of the common man, and let the government show that power does not mean persecution, and let the people remember that anger without wisdom destroys even just causes. Because in the end, as one Igbo proverb says, when truth stands, even the blind can see it. Onye isi n'afọ, eziokwu kwụ ọtọ. Eziokwu kwụ ọtọ, onye isi n'afọ. And this is IGBO AREA TV, keeping you informed, united, and conscious. I'm your host, Azuka OJ. Join the discussion in the comments. Do you think Nnamdi Kanu has a case to answer, or should he be freed now? Until next time, ka anyị jiri eziokwu mee ka ala anyị dị mma. Let us make our land better through truth.